because I was listening to Star Talk and Bill Nye was on with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I was like, that's right, Bill Nye was a person that I absolutely adore. So I should, like, search him on the internet and see what else he's done. So it took me to his website, where I found out a multitude of things. First of all, there's a planetary SpaceX program that he is a part of that's basically like a club, and money they raise goes to funding NASA and such stuff like that. And to help promote that, Toshiba gave him a buttload of money to run a 5 or 6 video series last year that was a reboot of that segment from his old show called Consider the Following.
Well,
So there is actually a new Consider the Following series that was posted up on YouTube on his channel, funded entirely by Toshiba, for the purpose of raising money for his planetary foundation and promoting general science knowledge everywhere. So after that, I found a video of him giving a talk at the Planetary Society about the Mars landing, which I thought was interesting because, I figured, of course, he'd be talking about the Mars landing at SpaceX. It's right up his alley. And he was actually talking about how he had involved in the project. And what happened was his old physics professor from Cambridge University, or wherever the fuck I think it was Cambridge that he went, had died. And he had kept in touch with him, and his family for a long time. And so he was attending his funeral. And while he was there, the project lead for the team that built Curiosity was also there, because he had also studied under that same professor. And so Bill Nye was like, oh my god, you're the guy who's building the the next probe to Mars. And he was like, oh my god, you're Bill Nye the science guy. and so they started talking, and Bill was just like, oh man, I'm so excited for the next mission to Mars. I'm like, I've been super promoting you guys, and we've been trying to raise money for NASA and all this stuff. And the guy was like, well, Bill, why don't you come in and just check out our program? And so Bill was like, fuck yes, I would love to come and watch you build a rover. So he went to go, hang out with the engineering crew that was building. And Bill Nye's an engineer. He was more than just a television personality. He's also an expert engineer. He's built and designed a lot of things. And while he was there, he was just chilling, watching them, work and talk and stuff, and occasionally throwing in his own opinions. They had this part of the rover that fits under the camera that projects, or that makes a shadow with the sun, and it's always in the field of view of the camera because it's there for color correction reasons, so the camera doesn't autocorrect itself and turn the sky blue or something. And Bill Nye was like, oh my god, you guys, you could totally turn this into a sundial. And they were like, why would we do that? He was like, because sundials are cool, that's why. So the project lead said, okay, Bill Nye, here's the color correction module. You can turn this into a sundial. So on the latest Mars rover, the color correction module doubles as a sundial, which was built by Bill Nye the science guy.
What?
That's pretty fucking awesome.
So I think that's super cool that there's something on Mars that was touched by Bill Nye the science guy.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's all like jelly, yo.
We often wonder if he was still alive, what he would say about our current state of exploration.
Who?
Fucking Carl Sagan.
Oh, yeah.
What he would think about us actually getting something to Mars. That was actually kind of, permanent.
Yeah.
Because those probes, they're not supposed to come back.
Well, I'm. It's my opinion. I'm totally for like sending probes and robots into space instead of humans, just because it's so much cheaper and so much safer. Really, I kind of see sending humans.
You don't have to jump through the same ridiculous number of safety hoops. That's why it's so much cheaper to do.
Yeah. I mean,
although of course, being humans, we are going to want to send people to Mars eventually.
Oh yeah, eventually. But okay, all the probes you send to Mars are not coming back. I think it's safe to assume that any humans we send back to Mars most likely are not going to come back.
It's a very long trip.
Yeah.
And it would not be cost effective to make it a two-way trip. And that's part of the reason why we haven't done it. The other reason obviously being that long space trips are very hard to plan for.
Yep.
And very dangerous.
If one thing goes wrong.
Yeah.
Everything's fucked, yeah.
So you'd have to get people who are not only professionals in their field, but also mentally stable enough or weird enough to accept the fact that you're going to Mars, you're not coming back home. You're going to live on Mars for the rest of your life. And that's pretty difficult. And with that being said, you wouldn't just send astronauts, you'd send scientists, you'd send doctors, psychologists, farmers, engineers.
The human mission to Mars is a very long way off. I mean, we're talking at least another round of probes, if not 2 or 3, before, assuming NASA's funding holds out, before anybody at NASA is going to feel even remotely comfortable about talking about going to Mars. They're just like, unlike the moon, which we can pretty easily observe, and there isn't much to observe to begin with. Mars has a lot of shit on it, and it's way the fuck far away. It's like we can't just fucking look at it with a high-powered telescope. It's really fucking far away.
I think the other issue with Mars, too, is that, unlike the moon, it has a more substantial atmosphere, which means it has weather. Yeah. It has those dust storms, and those things can be planet-wide, and I don't think a human would be too comfortable being caught out in the dust. I mean, being caught out in a sandstorm sucks.
Yeah.
Imagine being caught in a fucking dust storm on another planet.
And you have to remember, too, that,
plus, it's cold out there.
Yeah, it's fucking cold, and you have to go there and stay there. And so, how do you sustain a group of humans on a fucking cold-ass world with no air, or with no breathable atmosphere?
Well, I think it was either on the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe or like Astronomy Cast. They were talking about when we do eventually go, put a colony on the moon and eventually a colony on Mars. The first colonies are essentially just going to be trailer parks. They're basically just going to build, dig trenches and put these habitation units in those trenches and bury them. And that's where they're going to live for at least the first colonies.
Yeah.
And then afterwards they'll build more substantial bases. But those very first people are going to live a very hard and shitty life.
Yep. But we got a long way to go before we can actually start putting people permanently on other worlds.
Yeah.
Even the moon, which is so close comparatively, we are nowhere near colonizing the moon. It's not going to happen.
We don't have any real. They'd have to. One of the biggest issues would be getting supplies to them.
Yeah.
You'd have to be able to have the funding and then the planning and efficiency to get an effective amount of supplies to the colony.
Yeah.
And then What else was I gonna say? Shit, I forgot.
David, get on Skype.
Well, another thing too, and actually from what I read, the lunar missions were all scheduled at very specific times to avoid this problem. But another problem is the whole getting their cosmic rays. You know, and they said if they had launched those lunar missions at the wrong time, those astronauts could have been hit with cosmic rays and probably would have died.
Oh, they knew the risk.
I'm listening to the call.
Yeah. So
I think that's one of the great things about those guys that went up there. I mean, they knew the fucking risks for that. Hell, even on Earth, those rockets could have exploded.
You press the call button.
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on, let me add Sigmas. Oh, there he is.
Hey.
Hey. Oh, nice motorcycle there.
I know, right? Yeah, that's what I think is great. That's what I think is amazing about them. Those rockets could have exploded underneath them. Something could have gone wrong mid-flight, and the rocket could have blown up in midair.
Well, you know what happened to Apollo 1, right?
Yeah, the fire that broke out in the command module.
As we well know what happens when you build something incorrectly, right? In deathmatch.
What's that?
We all know what happens when things go wrong, right? In deathmatch.
Oh,
Kerbal Space Program.
Oh God, I love Kerbal Space Program. Oh, such a great game.
I'm just gonna send these guys to their death. No big.
Oh yeah, Kerbal Space Program. My game is ridiculous.
I think I have those videos saved on my live stream, but yeah, you just see it's like I think in my current game I've got like 3 capsules orbiting the sun.
Orbiting the sun?
Yeah. They're never coming.
The poor guys on the ships are just like screaming.
Yeah, they're just.
About it, unless that thing has really great radiation shielding, they're just dying of radiation.
Oh yeah. Well, I view the way I run the space program the same way as I don't know, Stalin would.
Sacrifices must be made.
Yeah. Just keep piling space capsules into space. Eventually, we'll be able to walk to the moon.
Eventually, something will hit something, and we'll discover something else.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. It's a long time ago. There was a Ren and Stimpy episode where it was sort of mocking the space race between the Soviet Union and Russia, and it was showing it all from the Russian side because Ren and Stimpy were Soviet citizens. And I remember as they were entering the Cosmodrome, there's this cardboard cutout of Lenin, and obviously a big fat Russian's behind it with his hand sticking through it, saying, like "Welcome, brave cosmonauts, welcome, brave cosmonauts." And as he gets Ren and Stimpy, he's like, "Welcome, brave cosmonauts, you suckers." And.
Well, it's sad but true. I mean, a lot of Russian cosmonauts died trying to get to space.
Well, have you heard about those supposed lost cosmonaut tapes that were? Yeah, I mean, don't know if those are real or not, but just a thought it's just fucking crazy that happening. Because. Yeah, especially the one where there was a supposed recording of the first of a woman in space.
Yeah.
And she was her capsule had failed, and she was re-entering Earth, and she was basically burning alive.
Hey, David,
Curious part about those. Interesting part about those is the fact that
you can turn on your microphone.
If any of those are real, then that means humans could have been in space as early as 1958.
Yeah.
My microphone.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, only 13 years after World War II.
Noise from downstairs.
Oh, okay.
That would just blow my mind. I mean, the fact that we made it to space, what was it, 63?
I think it was 61 with Yuri Gagarin.
Yeah, 61. First man in space is technically recognized as in 61.
Yeah. Well, and
the first man in orbit.
Yeah, and again, we don't know if those tapes are real or not. We do know that the Soviet Union did edit photographs to remove certain cosmonauts. So we know that mistakes have happened, and they've tried to hide it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I thought that was a Fallout 3 thing.
Okay, I've been trying to play Fallout 3, but with Windows 7, it's really buggy.
My biggest issue with it... Actually, no, I fixed that. My biggest issue right now is with New Vegas. I need to find a way to merge my mods together so they won't all load in at different times because it's fucking killing my... It's getting to the RAM limit and then crashing.
Yeah, I'm just playing Fallout 3 just completely vanilla, just because I'm too worried about it crashing. Though I think I fixed it by fixing the that INI file in the documents folder. But other than that, I'm just running completely vanilla.
What's Fallout about? I forget. I haven't played it.
Fallout, well, it depends on which one you play, but generally it's about these settings usually, well, always in post-apocalyptic America. It's like the 1950s never stopped. There was a huge nuclear war, and depending on the game you play, there's a different story behind each one.
Yeah, and it was a nuclear war between the United States and China, not Russia.
Yeah, communist China.
Yeah, which I would they probably won't do it, but I'd love to see a Fallout game set in China.
Yeah. I'm find out China's actually better off than most of the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm tired of them always involving Russia.
Yeah, now that they've run out of using the Nazis, now it's Soviet Russia or imperialist Russia.
Yeah, nationalist Russia. It's like, God, we need to find a new enemy.
It's like, I know the Russians did bad shit, but come on.
Even the steampunk Nazis were more entertaining, I think.
I mean, it wouldn't happen because, they're of America, fuck yeah, but I would love to see a game where America's actually the bad guy.
There actually are. There actually are a couple games like that. They're made in Syria and Iran, but there are a couple indie games where, like, Israel and the United States are shown as to be the bad guys.
Oh, and don't forget School Shooter World Tour.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, even though it was banned from the Half-Life 2 forums, they are still around. They are still making that game, and I'm excited for it.
It would just be interesting to see a game where the United States is actually the evil empire.
Well, again, it would have to be a game set where...
And maybe you finally play as a Russians who are trying to stop,
I want to say that there's a game like that I've played, but I just can't remember.
I know, I swear to God there's a game out there like that, but I can't remember what it would be for the life of me.
I keep thinking of Code. Yes, that's why. Where they say it's Britannia, but it's really America.
Oh yeah, Code Geass, yeah, where it's the nation of the Empire of Britannia, but it's really the United States.
When you look at the intro sequence with the military movement, the fake military movement on the map, it's all those gigantic arrows coming out of California attacking Japan.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute. And then, like, halfway through the second season, Britannia creates that incredible weapon, Slayer, that they use to take out one of Japan's cities. It's like, come on. I know what you're doing here. We can all see it. It's not a secret.
Well, it's like they tried to make a whole thing about. They tried to. I think it was either the Japanese studio or the American licensor try to put in a story about how the royal family was chased out of Great Britain in the when Oliver Cromwell came to power, and they fled to the American colonies and became super militaristic and all this shit. And it's like, you're really stretching that. You're really stretching that.
Yeah.
Really, the only place I could really see the United States really kind of being the bad guy would be a Vietnam game.
Yeah. Actually, when I think about it,
all the Vietnam games I've played have been just sort of mildly anti-war.
When I think about it, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a stretch, even though it's not the entire United States, it's part of the government. Red Dead Redemption was kind of in that way. It was kind of a man versus the American government.
Yeah. And also, depending on how you fall on the whole issue of states' rights and in turn slavery, you could make a Civil War game from the point of view of the Confederacy.
Yeah, go to tools.
True.
Yeah.
Options.
Or really, it's. I mean, yeah, America is sort of a bully, but the problem is we're not. By our nature, we're not like conquerors. We're not imperialists.
Yeah,
which makes it really hard to make America the bad guy.
Just set down the half.
Yeah, without making it feel absurd.
Yeah, you'd have to. Right. You'd either have to go really into tinfoil hat territory or make a complete alternate history.
Fuck.
Hello.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, finally you got your mic working.
Yeah, no, he was using a laptop mic, and I was like, you have a desktop mic.
I forgot, yeah.
No, that's a good mic. You could use that.
By the way, I've been recording for 22 minutes, so...
Okay.
I basically started recording when we started talking about Bill Nye. So yeah, Atticus, basically what the Electric Brony is, it's a very... There's no show notes, no nothing. It's just basically we talk about games or something or whatever.
Yeah, we get everything out our head.
Yeah, there's no plan or anything.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the GCC, but worse.
GCC has structure only because I force it to.
Yeah. Yeah, so how you liking Dark Souls for the PC?
It's making me its bitch all over again. Like, my first time playing through Dark Souls, I got my ass handed to me by everything. Even the first enemies in the game, I'm like, how the fuck do I kill these assholes? And even though I know all the mechanics of the game now, the build I'm trying out a completely new character, one that I've never done before, and it is frustrating as hell. I haven't gotten a chance to try any of the new DLC stuff, the entire, Artorias side story and all that stuff. But from what I've seen so far, it's going to be an ass kicking.
As its child, or as its father before it was. I never actually understood the whole idea that a game can be sold on the idea that it just is very hard.
Well, I think what it is, why they were able to market that is because, we have the whole older games from the late 80s through the early 90s, there was the whole term Nintendo hard, which meant, Nintendo games were hard because they were short. So game developers had to put difficulty into the game, had to put challenge in the game, and actual effort into thinking, how can I make this game fun, but still challenging enough that it'll take them a while to beat it. And I think that's what a lot of people, myself too, my friend told me about this game, he's like, okay, so it's an action RPG, it's got good lore and all that, but when he said, it's like an old action RPG, and I'm like, so you mean it's difficult? He said, yeah, and that sold me on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is hard as hell, actually. First time playing through, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was getting my ass stomped all over the place. But as I started figuring out the game, I started getting more into the story of the game, more into the lore and all that stuff, and it's like it's got me hooked.
Oh no, the aesthetic of the game. Cause I would never play any of these because I have no patience for that sort of thinking in game design. Minus Mega Man. I do like Mega Man, but that's something else. I have watched playthroughs of Demon's Souls. And the aesthetic and, to a certain extent, the story and the the enemy design and the look and feel is all great. It's just the simple fact that it's one of its major selling points is that it's just simply unforgivingly hard. It does not appeal to me as much.
Yeah, I can understand.
It's a game I would pay to watch. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not a game for everybody, and I guess it'd be more fun to watch because you're not the one getting your ass kicked and being frustrated all the time.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like I actually saw a post on 4chan somebody made. Perfect analogy. He was playing it, getting his ass kicked, got pissed, quit. 10 minutes later, he's back on. Dark Souls is like an abusive husband. No matter how much, this is the exact analogy he used. No matter how much it hurts you, no matter how mad you get about it, you'll always come back for more. If you actually legitimately enjoy the game, you will always come back for more. Yep. I've actually had that happen to me. I've been trying to kill one single boss for the last about 3 hours of my gameplay that I put into it. One boss. And he kills me, I get mad, I quit. Literally 5 minutes later, I go back and try and beat him again.
I just had this. Actually, I'm going to add Jay Hoof to the call. He wants to know this. So, actually, I just had this mental image of like the dude from the cover of Dark Souls. Like, he just got done just beating the ever living shit out of you, and he just left. And he's at like 7-Eleven, and he's feeling bad. So, he's at the 7-Eleven. He's looking at the shit they sell at the counter. And it's like plastic roses and like shitty chocolate. He just buys that and comes back, gives it to you, and then just starts beating the shit out of you again. Because we all know that's what that stuff is for. All that stuff there at the counter at the 7-Eleven. That's the abusive husband shopping center.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that analogy, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good, especially for new players. I mean, I know plenty of people who have played this game. I tried to get a couple of my other friends to play it. And they got a decent way through the game, and then they got to that one boss that they could not get past, and that made them quit. And I'm like, well, now you've gotten this far. Why would you give up now? It's like, because it's too frustrating. It's like, so you went through this boss and this area, which, made me almost quit the game, and then you get to this one boss, and it's like, now you're going to quit?
That kind of reminds me of, it was probably, this isn't RPG related at all, but in Gran Turismo 2 for the PlayStation 1, in one of the specialty races, it was like one of the classic car races. It was a 3-race series, and the final series, one of the cars that always competed was like a 1964 Ford GT40. Which is basically a street legal full blown race car, and you were limited on what cars you could use, and in that time period, from the library of cars in the game, that was the fastest car available. Most acceleration, fastest car. You could modify every other classic car as much as you could. It would not be nearly as fast as the GT40. And the only way you could beat it was with another GT40, but the only way you could get a GT40 was to beat that series, and then you'd get the GT40. So, in order to get 100% completion of the game, you basically had the cheats. You had to use like a Game Shark or something to get the GT40, and then you could beat the game. But that was more like just shitty design, shitty programming.
Yeah. That's right.
And, not so much just... But still, it's the same feeling. It's just like you're so close to just beating this goddamn game, and it's just that one boss, car.
What I love about Dark Souls, too, is like... There are people who have beaten this game at level 1. You can beat this game without leveling up, ever. You can beat this game capping your level at 25. It doesn't matter what level you are in the game. You can kill every single boss in the game from your starting level.
Why would you want to do that to yourself?
Because some people like challenge.
It's a challenge.
But the thing is, that's what I love about this game, is because you can do that. It doesn't limit you in what you can do. You can make your character level 791 if you want. I don't care. You can cap your level at 791, which is the level cap. And you can do that, or you can beat the game at soul level 1. Doesn't matter. That's what's great about Dark Souls, is the fact that it doesn't... It's all down to you, basically. How you play the game, how you build your character. If you get fucked over by a boss, you find a way to circumvent that boss and kick its ass.
I really like that, because it basically means that if somebody hates the game because they suck at it, it's because they suck. It's nothing to do with the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see people bitching about the game's artificial difficulty, as it were, and I think the term artificial difficulty is just bullshit, personally.
All difficulty is artificial to begin with.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like...
It's created.
I mean, it's just, when you apply it to a game, like a video game, like saying, oh, this game has artificial difficulty, well, yeah, you're right. It's already artificial. It's created by the game company, because they're the ones who set the damage values, they're the ones who set the enemy spawns, they're the ones who build the levels that these enemies are going to be placed in. They already have this planned out. You just have to find a way to get around it. And the game provides you, the developers provide you with ways to get around it, or you can figure out your own ways to do it that they may have not thought of.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. That's why, I actually, on the one hand, I really hate randomly generated levels, but on the one hand, I love them, because really, it takes a certain bit of skill. But you have the chance to either have a really nice easy game or a fucking impossible game. It's like the Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could start out just in an awful situation where you just don't get any drops or anything like that, but you could still beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can get tons of drops on the first floor and die immediately.
I actually was playing it earlier and I had something like that. I was playing Judas, and I got 3 damage upgrades on the first floor. 3. So I was doing beyond max damage, plus I had the Book of Belial. I died in the caves part 2.
Jeez. Yeah.
Because I had no health upgrades at all, and I got swarmed. I was so pissed.
Well, it's like, one time I was playing it, and I was playing as Eve, and I think she has the Whore of Babylon.
Yeah.
Where if she gets half a heart of health left, she turns into that demon.
Jesus Christ, and I'm the one who's smoking.
Oh man, fuck.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm back. No, I was eating something and it went down the wrong tube.
Oh, I hate that.
Really funny because just as you said that, I got a message on Tumblr. Did you know if you inhale a pea, it can sprout and grow in your lungs?
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Oh yeah, I had the Whore of Babylon, so I had like half a heart left, and no other hearts left on this floor. I think it was, I think it was in the caves, and I went to the final, I went to the final dungeon, and it was,
okay, so GDB.
Is her name Gertie? That big, giant blob of flesh that sprouts those, it just sprays blood everywhere.
The little tumor things and all that shit.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, she's like my worst boss. It's like she just rates me every time, and I went in, with half a heart, Whore of Babylon, and somehow I managed to beat her. I managed to get it to where she would spray blood at just the right moments where I could dodge it, and I beat her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that way it was more or less luck. And then other times I go in there with just tons of health, tons of steel hearts, and just get raped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
And then, it's just Gertie's a bitch. Let's just say that.
There's much worse in that game. I'm going to tell you this.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to. If you've unlocked the 4 Horsemen, the champion versions of the 4 Horsemen are pains in the ass. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've never actually gotten that far. I always end up just. I think the furthest I ever got was to Mother, and I just lost it.
Yeah, the game takes a little bit of getting used to. Once you get everything down and you get a good lucky run, it can get really stupid really fast.
Yeah, well, it's just with me personally. It's just, and I have a friend who just absolutely refuses to play the game. I mean, it's not because he's religious or anything, or he's an atheist, but it's just the game to him is just so I mean, even though it's so cartoony, just the ideas that are presented in the game are just so horrible and disgusting that he was watching me play it one time and he was getting sick. And that sort of happens to me too, where it's like I'll play it, I'll try to marathon it, just play it over and over again, and then I just get sick of it. It's just like, oh, there's just so much filth and blood and gore, and it's just I can't. I need to go play. I need to go play TF2 or something happy.
Something happy where blood is funny.
Yeah. But yeah, did you guys know that game was banned from the Nintendo store? They were trying to. The developer wanted to put it on the 3DS, and it was banned.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a game that not only has, a little child running around shooting his tears at aborted fetuses and crazy shit like that, but then he also can he can sell his soul to the devil and other crazy shit.
Well, that was what really surprised the developer, because he kind of suspected that they would, ask him to censor some things, which he was going to say no, absolutely not. But the only thing they complained about was, we do not put up games that involve actual religions on our store. We won't do that. You can remove the religious aspect of your game and we'll put it up. And he's like, that's the whole point of the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
And so he never submitted it again.
Yeah,
that's what they had their problem with, was religion.
Yeah, it was dealt a lot with Christianity and Catholicism.
Yeah, it has a lot of items that are based on a lot of biblical things.
Yeah, like Eve has the Whore of Babylon. You got the Necronomicon and shit like that. Necronomicon's not really religious.
That's
just H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
But,
speaking of which,
they got.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they got the Bible, which you can use to kill your own mother.
Yeah. Jehu, how far have you gotten along with all that Lovecraft shit you downloaded?
I'm on episode 31 of the podcast, The Rats in the Walls, Part 1.
Oh, oh, geez, when you get to the end, when they talk, if you read the story, you listen to that podcast, and you get to the end, and you just find out the history of that family is just fucking disgusting.
I was wanting to listen to it yesterday, but yesterday was my co-host Brunson's birthday party, and we all got drunk off our asses. It was beautiful.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, we played Dungeons and Dragons, the drinking game.
That's really the only way you can play Dungeons and Dragons these days.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very true.
Yeah.
Basically, every time you missed, you had to take a shot. Every time you got damage over 10, take a shot. Every time you called someone by their player name, you take 3 shots.
There's one game I want to play. It's actually, I saw it on Tumblr. It's called the Mustache Game. What you do is you cut out a mustache and you tape it to your TV in the middle of the TV, and whenever somebody's face aligns with the mustache, you take a drink.
Oh, yeah. I see that game.
Is awesome.
The game looks like fun.
Well, it's like, have you guys seen the Milo Pony drinking game?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's designed to get you as drunk as fast as possible.
Alcohol poisoning.
I think one of the ones, it was actually revised because I think one of the things was, I think it was like every time Pinkie Pie bounced more than twice in a row, you had to drink.
Jeez.
Fuck that.
Yeah. So Ben,
I missed most of the Dark Souls talk.
Well, Atticus is really the only one who's played. I've purchased it and I have it downloaded, but I haven't actually opened it yet.
I'm very intimidated. I don't want to try it. It looks hard.
And this coming from the guy who eats Nintendo difficulty games for breakfast.
Well, yeah, but that's because I played it as a kid, and I'm living off of the nostalgia of it.
I want to tell you right now, for the two of you who haven't played it, don't look up anything on it if you can.
I don't
look at playthroughs.
I haven't seen too much.
Yeah, don't look at any playthroughs past maybe the first area. Don't look up items. Don't look up anything. Go in blind. It'll be 10 times more frustrating, but it's 10 times more fun. Because you're discovering all these things for yourself, and you're like, oh shit, what does he do? Oh, he just smashed my ass into the dirt with his sword. I shouldn't fuck with him. Oh, hey, who's that guy in the gray armor? Oh, he just crushed me with his giant fucking tooth. Fantastic.
Oh god, that reminds me of that one enemy in that tower. Oh shit.
Oh, the Tower Knights.
And I guess you'd call it the second area. Whenever you go down, and there's that. Oh shit, that guy wrecked my shit.
Oh. Shit, I already forgot the dude's name, but he did the Let's Play video of Slender Man. Jay, I think you might know. He was this forest isn't big enough for the both of us, asshole.
Repeat, Slenderman has been spotted attempting to
critical.
Yeah, critical.
Yeah, critical. He did the way, for people who don't know, critical, the way he plays games is that he does lots of funny commentary, but eventually he'll just give up. He's only beaten one game. I think it was Super Monkey Ball. And yeah, but he's never beaten a game. And
he just has the most hilarious, like, deadpan, serious way of taking things. Like, watching him play SCP Containment was also hilarious.
Yeah, and so far he's the only person who I've seen play Slender Man, just completely deadpan, never. Well, I think one time he said, "Oh shit, there's Slender Man," but it was still in like a deadpan voice. It's just he's the only person who I've seen play Slender Man.
He stands in very stark contrast to the screaming, sniveling videos that Pewdie likes to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very stark contrast, but he is hilarious, and he says some ridiculous shit in his videos.
Yeah, but he played. He was playing for one video. He was playing Dark Souls. And I think while he was playing, he got bored and decided to prank call a pizza while playing Dark Souls. And I think he was actually every time he got like attacked or injured in Dark Souls, he'd start cursing out and yelling at the person at Pizza Hut about it. And they'd hang up, and then he'd call them back, and then he'd call up another pizza place, and then he got bored with the game and ended the video.
Yeah, he tried to play Slenderman for like 8 minutes, and that was it. He just gave up. He's like, this game is fucking stupid.
Yeah. But that first encounter with Slenderman was just so hilarious because every time people first see Slenderman, they just freak the fuck out. He's like, yep, Slenderman has been sighted.
Attempting to flank.
He just runs right up to Slenderman. He's like, this forest isn't big enough for the both of us, asshole. And he's like, what the fuck? The game just shut down.
Actually, it was when Dark Souls came out, I did a quick little live stream, like 2.5 hours of it, and invited some people in to watch. And I didn't have my mic on at the time, but oh my god, starting a new sorcerer character. I was saying words that I never thought I would use to describe some of the enemies that I was fighting. I mean, I'm glad I didn't say anything. I mean, I was just kind of letting people get a view of the game, let them like check it out,
Yeah.
Just to see if they'd be interested in it. But oh man, I mean, when it comes to Dark Souls, I don't get all freaked out and everything like that, because I've played through it. I'm not like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh god damn it. I'm not like that. I'm just like, oh, you fucking asshole. Just come over here, you bitch. I like talk to the enemies. I'm like, come at me, motherfucker. I like dare or when I do invasions, because that's part of the game. I'll hunt around for people like, where are you, little fucker? Come at me. I don't actually get like mad.
There's one more video that I highly suggest you guys watch. It's by Critical also. And it's his gameplay and commentary for the game Do Not Shit Your Pants.
Yeah. I watched that. Do Not Shit Your Pants.
That is one of the best videos on YouTube ever.
I just love how he finally gets the door open and gets the guy sitting on the toilet, but he forgot to tell him to pull his pants down. And he just gets so angry. Another good Let's Play video guy is Rossack, King of Sweden, and his Curveball Space Program videos.
Actually, ow.
And he pretends to act like super Swedish and Viking. I think I think one of his rockets he called like Valhalla Sky Penis Mark 1 or something. And he was doing the same shit I was doing. I was like, oh shit, how are these guys gonna get back to Earth? Oh well. Or one video he did a rocket, and it basically he got it to the moon, and he forgot to put like landing struts on the capsule, or guiding rockets, so it just slammed right into the moon and just killed everybody on board.
Actually, speaking of Let's Players, one I like to watch, if you've heard of him, is Northern Lion.
I've heard of him.
He has a few Kerbal Space Program videos, and one of them, I think it's, how many is he up to? I think it's either 16 or later. He manages to get to the moon, except the game glitched out and his ship went through the moon. His capsule went inside the moon, and he couldn't get back out. Like, it didn't crash. The Kerbals lived. It didn't explode. It was just inside the moon.
So are they still in there?
I don't know. He hasn't made it. I mean, he's been experimenting with space planes in his recent episodes, so he hasn't tried doing any more moon landings. So we haven't been able to see his map yet to see if they're still inside there. He also does. Northern Lion also has a Dark Souls Let's Play that he did. So I mean, if nobody wants to play the game and want to watch him do it, I mean, he's really good at it. I mean, he's not the best at the game. He doesn't do everything that you can possibly do in it because that would take fucking forever. But he does. I mean, he does a pretty good playthrough of the game. If anybody would be interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I'm on his YouTube page right now.
That he's got a very soothing voice. I enjoy listening to him, especially when he starts ranting.
Have any of you guys started watching the Game Grumps with Eagle Raptor and that other dude?
Yeah, I've been watching that.
The game.
Yeah. Yeah, the Game Grumps. The only part I really like about is the intro. I'm a grump. I'm not so grump. And it's just, I don't know. That's the only part I really like.
My favorite thing that Ego Raptor's ever done, and still remains,
Pokemon.
No, the Sequelitis series.
Yeah, Sequelitis is really good.
Sequelitis is by far my favorite thing he's ever done, and I'm disappointed that he hasn't continued it because I thought it was a really good series.
Yeah.
Honestly, his Mega Man one was really damn good.
That was good.
My favorite one of all time was the Halo Reach video.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, of the Awesome series, my favorite's got to be Trauma Center.
Yeah.
Because Sigmus over here used to play Trauma Center a lot. And I wouldn't ever join in, but I'd always watch and yell at the screen because it was so much fun.
I can't believe how sweet being a doctor is. Yeah.
Oh, Sigmus, I wanted to ask you, how does it feel like to be a pedophile what's it been? What's the one game you told me about?
Don't take it personally. It just ain't your story.
Yeah.
She's in high school. It's not a pedophile if she's that old.
The game is set in Canada, not Japan.
Yeah, the game takes place in Ontario. Right. Yeah. That's why it's subtly written. If you go with her, it's written. It's not like overt, but it's very subtle. It's written in such a way that kind of makes you feel ashamed for going with the girl.
Oh,
because it takes place in Canada, not Japan.
Wait, what game is this?
The game is Don't Take It Personally, Babe. It just ain't your story.
It's a visual novel.
Right.
The lady also did Digital Love Story and Analog a Hate Story. Analog a Hate Story is on Steam. And Sketchbook.
Yeah.
Really interesting visual novels regarding like gender identity and love and all that happy stuff.
It tackles romance in a more gritty way, but not like really like dark cutting myself kind of thing. It's just it's handled with less of the fluff and a little bit more realism. But more than anything, it's Don't Take It Personally, Baby, Just Ain't Your Story is just fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious game.
Yeah.
Speaking of pedophilia, one of the things I've already seen since Dark Souls was released on PC is people wanting to put lolly mods in it.
People wanting to put what?
Lolly mods.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they want to turn it into like Skyrim or Oblivion with all the lolly stuff.
Oh, jeez. I remember, I think it was either The Sims 2 or The Sims 3. There was a mod that came out that allowed you to have your character stay as a child throughout their entire life. So you could, if you were inclined to that, you could live out your fantasies that way if you wanted to. Yeah, all kinds of
things people do, man.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, that's one of the reasons I love PC gaming is because of the mod community, but I mean, sometimes
it goes too far.
And I'll even admit it, like with some of the My Little Pony mods I've seen for games, they're kind of horrifying. Like the ones for Skyrim, oh my god, why would you do that?
I kind of like the one where you replace all the dragons with Fluttershy. I think that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cute. And
but like turning the horses into giant ponies, it's just weird looking.
I think I have a screenshot because I actually did that mod, and it's just it's the intro to Skyrim, and you're being pulled in the cart to your imminent death, and you're just being pulled by a giant rainbow dash. And it's like, wow, this is kind of inappropriate, but funny.
Did you guys see that Nerdist video called Cops Skyrim?
No.
No.
Oh god. Yeah, Nerdist did a joked video about involving a guard in Skyrim, and it's styled like Cops.
Oh, jeez.
It's really funny.
Nice.
Oh, man. Yeah, the only game I think I've played that has pony mods in it that actually don't make the game weird is World of Tanks.
Oh, and it's just like... It's like just painting, just graffiti on the tanks.
Mostly because what the majority of it is just skinning the tanks as different, like the color of the pony, maybe some vector images and stuff painted on the tank. And then, although recently there's been this little mod group who's been creating custom custom models for the tanks that have they have ponies sticking out of their commander's copulas and things like that.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Right now, I've got a tank in my inventory that has Derpy sticking out of the back of the turret. And then whenever the tank blows up, her position switches to the back of the tank, roasting a muffin over the fire.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I remember there was a localized mod you could do for Team Fortress 2. And what the fuck, Sigmus? Are you practicing carpentry?
No, I think someone's downstairs in our apartment, like, breaking
Maybe I
dishes.
should move somewhere else.
But there was a localized mod you could get where the engineer would get like a pouch that he would wear on his belt off to the side, and there was a little tiny Applejack that would poke her head out and look around, and then tuck back away into the pouch at random times. And that was a really cute mod.
Yeah, I would love to see this mod for the tanks game, like the ponies actually move around, but that would take quite a bit of remodeling of the vehicles.
Yeah.
And it probably wouldn't even work in the current engine of the game itself, so, I mean...
So, I guess another question that just came up, I just thought of, oh yeah, by the way, I posted a link to one of my Skyrim screenshots.
Yeah, I just saw that.
But Source Movie Maker.
Oh, shit.
It's come out, and I know Impulsion and I were talking about how awesome everything's going to be, just what's going to happen, and it's already happened.
Have you have you seen this one animation called Practical Problems?
Yes.
Yes.
That easily became one of my favorite Source filmmakers. So far.
That and the Twilight Sparkle making out with Twilight Sparkle in like 20 seconds.
Didn't he do another one of those? Like Rainbow Dash or someone?
Maybe.
I swear to God I saw another one. The only reason I saw those is because they were linked on MLP, and then the second another one came out, it was already up on the front page.
Yeah, there's another video I showed these guys yesterday with Princess Celestia, and it's just somehow it captures the complete stupidity of Gmod, but does it in Source Movie Maker, so it's super smooth and everything, but still just as retarded. See, I'm gonna try to find it really quick.
See, I think that's one of the interesting things, though, is like you have these people in the Gmod community who are really, really, really good at making Gmod films. Like, I've seen some Gmod films that are really smoothly, I guess you could say, animated, even though they're not technically really animated, since they're all just a series of screenshots.
Yeah.
But then you also have these people coming out who are really, really goddamn talented with Source Filmmaker. So it's like... And then a lot of these people who are doing Gmod films are starting to experiment with, Source Filmmakers, see what they can do. I just wonder where, things like that are going to go.
Well, I mean, in the later... Like, who's that? Kitty0708 or whatever his name is?
0706, yeah.
Yeah. He's by far, I think, the best Gmod movie maker. Just because...
Oh, yeah.
And I can't wait to see what he's going to do in Source. Or Source Movie Maker. But on the other hand, I do really kind of love just how Gmod has a style to it.
It does.
That is really horrifying yet endearing.
I actually saw that Rubber Fruit. You guys know who Rubber Fruit is, of course, right?
I think so.
He became known in the Gmod community for being one of the first people to really use a lot of those ridiculous, silly-looking faces in the TF2 models.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He created... he's known for Penis Cupcake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw Penis Cupcake.
Yeah, he's known for him. And yeah, I saw some stuff he's starting to do with Source Filmmaker. Which interests me, because he's actually found a way to get his silly-ass faces into Source Filmmaker.
It's not that hard.
It's not. It's just that
it's just a different. It works differently.
It's translating those weird animation, like facial structures, from screenshots in Gmod to motion video in Source Filmmaker, which is going to probably make them 10 times more horrifying than they already are.
Yeah, because you have all the nice smooth animation now.
Yeah,
does make them look more lifelike.
I don't know. I think I showed you this video yesterday, MDevMec, of somebody had taken the audio from the beginning of BioShock
and put it to source. Yeah.
And that one I think has some of the best lip matching that I've seen. That one and that Source Filmmaker video about waffles. Have you ever seen that one?
I think so. But yeah, it's. I think that's the best part of a Source Movie Maker is it makes the lip syncing much, much easier to do.
Yeah, I've seen some really great lip syncing stuff. There's that one scene from Rambo I've seen done with the sniper and the scout and all that. That was really well done. Actually, I think my favorite one so far is a scene. You guys remember that movie Emperor's New Groove?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scene from that movie where I forget the name of that one evil woman in the movie, but she's planning on how to kill the Emperor, and it's done with the medic, and it's so I don't even know. It looks like a professional animator did it. It's just so smooth and so well done. I mean, it's short, but it's just all the movements of the medic, all the things going on, in the background and things like that. They look really fantastically done. I'm just really surprised. I can probably find it real quick.
I'm trying to think of Source Filmmaker's only been out for about a month and a half, and we've already got all the shits just out already. It's like I can't wait once it matures just to see what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. I need to find this video because if you haven't seen it, it's really well done.
I'll definitely check it out.
Where the hell is it?
Use your controller up here.
Yeah, well.
Can I use it?
Yeah, that's my roommate over there.
Thank you.
Said he was going somewhere, but
I'm on a phone call.
So I started playing Fallout 3 again. And I'm playing it vanilla just because trying to get to work with Windows 7 is a pain in the ass, but I managed to do that, so I don't want to risk using any mods yet with it. But do any of you guys have any fun adventures or hilarious events that happened in Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas?
I had a family of Deathclaws fly into the air. You know that island in New Vegas, all the way in the southwest corner, southeast corner of the map, near where the Legion camp is?
Yeah.
There's an area down there. I forget what it's called, but it's a cave down there where there's a bunch of Deathclaws and Enclave soldiers and shit. And I went down there, and they started coming at me because I'd never been down there before in my playthrough. I saw it. I'm like, I might as well go explore this. And then I get there, and all of a sudden, 50 fucking Deathclaws, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck? And some of them are coming at me, and they're flying into the air. Launching straight up into the air and not coming back down. And I'm like, what? What is going on here? And then when I went into the cave, and all of a sudden, all of them appeared behind me.
Oh, that's
So then I opened the console as fast as possible, put God mode on, and just fucking Estered the shit out of him. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this.
I think that's where the legendary Deathclaw is at.
I think it was, yeah.
I remember it was a long time ago when my first playthrough of Fallout 3. I was heading over to the robot factory, and I don't know, I was just running along, not really caring about my surroundings. I just want to get to the robot factory, and I started jumping off over this small ridge, and I wasn't paying attention to my Pip-Boy at all, or my radar, and I jumped right on top of a giant rad scorpion. And if you don't know me, I have an incredible fear or arachnophobia, which includes scorpions, just because they have. It's mostly because of those eyes, the way they move in their eyes, just those dead eyes. And I landed on top of him. It gets all aggro, and I proceed to just completely lose my shit. And I'm just running back to Megaton. And I had the Animal Friend perk, and I had it up to level 2, which meant that not only will most animals not attack you, they'll come to your aid. And I ran past a pack of giant mole rats, and it was about 5 of them, and they all went to my aid, and they all got slaughtered by the giant rat scorpion. And and eventually I got to Megaton, and the trader was there along with the sheriff, and with them I was able to kill the rat scorpion. He killed the trader, but I never used that guy anyways. So.
Was it an albino red scorpion or a normal one?
I think it was the normal one. That was actually a pretty low level.
Okay.
I think it was like.
I remember when they added the albino rad scorpions into one of the DLCs, and I found one. I'm like, okay, this should be. Oh God, it won't die.
Oh jeez.
It's like as strong as if not stronger than a Deathclaw.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have me where it's just like I could probably easily take him out. I could if I just paid attention take him out, but I'm freaking out so much that I just think about running away, and so I can never really kill them.
Also, I found that hammer video right there.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, this video.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was fantastically done.
Jeez.
It's just...
Nice. I actually had kind of a funny little story that's already happened to me in my newest run of Fallout 3. After having the game crash 3 times while I was still in the vault trying to set up my character, and then finally fixing the INI file, and I finally get out of the vault. Right now I'm helping out with the Wasteland survival guide, so I'm on my way up to Minefield. And I decided I was going to go ahead because he had that one bridge near the vaults where the raider camp is.
Yeah.
And I decided to go check out there just to sort of, level up and also try to get some loot. And so I'm finding my way up the bridge, and the way I'm doing it, I kind of, just to have a little bit of fun, I shoot the cars and the trucks instead of actually the raiders, so that way they set off the nuclear engine and create a massive explosion. And I didn't notice it right away, but in the distance on the bridge there was some raiders. So I'm shooting at the truck; they're all nearby, and I see one of them has a Gatling laser gun. And I'm like, oh my god, I have to have that. But the truck is already on fire. It blows up. The dude with the Gatling laser gun goes flying like miles away with the Gatling laser gun. I was just so pissed off because the only other time I've ever seen one have that was the oh shit, what the hell? The Brotherhood of Steel guys, the bad ones.
Oh yeah.
Outcasts.
The Outcasts. They were the only other ones I've seen with those, and I didn't see them until much later in the game.
Do you have the Broken Steel DLC for it?
Actually, no. No, it was weird. I thought I had all the DLC for the game, but it turns out I don't. I thought I purchased all the DLC on one of the Steam sales. But I ended up only getting all the DLC for New Vegas, so I don't have any DLC for Fallout.
I was going to say, because if you have the DLC Broken Steel, it adds in the Super Mutant Overlords, and they can spawn with Gatling lasers.
Oh,
they're hard as hell to kill, but it's worth it, because there's one particular Gatling laser in the game in the Deathclaw Cave, the Vengeance.
Yeah.
If you get that bitch with energy weapons and full repair, 100% repair, and you just keep farming Gatling lasers, that's the only gun you need for the whole game.
Yeah.
Because you can find ammo for it everywhere.
Nice.
That's what I mean, the way I play Fallout 3 now is because I have Operation Anchorage. I immediately go to that, get the bug T-51B armor because it's unbreakable. And then I immediately go get Vengeance, pump all my points into repair and energy weapons, and I'm good.
Actually, let me see how much the DLC could... Okay, Fallout 3 right now is $10 on Steam. That's the regular price.
Yeah, I ended up nabbing the Game of the Year edition when it was on sale.
Yeah, I think I might end up... Even though I already own Fallout 3, I may get the Game of the Year edition, because actually... It's cheaper to get the Game of the Year edition than buy all the DLC individually. So I think I might just do that, just because I'm really getting back into Fallout 3 and I really want to play the DLC.
Yeah, Operation Anchorage breaks the game so bad, though. Bethesda never fixed the bug with the T-51B armor that you get. So it has a damage threshold or a durability of like over 9 million or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Something stupid. So even though it does take damage, it would take forever to break it.
Oh, I'm all for that.
Yeah,
it's not cheating if it's in the game already.
And the funniest part is that even though it's power armor, you don't need power armor training to use it. So you can use it. You can use it when you start the game. Basically, you just have to beat the Operation Anchorage thing, and then you can use it. I think my character was level 8 when I finished Operation Anchorage, and I was running around in power armor and shit.
Yeah, I think actually the shortest Fallout 3 game I ever had, and of course I just respawned from a save, but the shortest Fallout 3 game I ever had was I walk out of the vaults and immediately run into a patrol of outcasts who just have a Gatling machine gun, and they just open up on me. And I just die right away. Let's see.
I think I got unlucky with my playthroughs. I left the vault, was walking to Megaton, and a Deathclaw comes out of nowhere. I didn't even know they could spawn out that far.
Nice.
And he just wrecked my shit.
Alright, I have one friend. He actually mentioned it a long time ago on this podcast. I have a friend Josh who plays Fallout New Vegas on the 360, and he's talking about he was throughout his one run of the game, throughout the entire game, none of the rad scorpions clipped to the ground properly, so they all looked like sharks. Where it's just basically all you saw was their tail just moving just right above the ground. So it just literally looked like he was hunting sharks.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, it made it really easy to kill him because they couldn't directly attack him.
I think another weird bug I've had with that game is I had just gotten done with the Point Lookout DLC, and I was just coming back to the Capital Wasteland. And all of a sudden, no guns were doing damage. My guns weren't doing damage, and the enemy's guns weren't doing damage. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Like, it was, they were making contact. Like, you could see the blood splatters and all that stuff. Like, so you could tell, the hit scan and all that was working. It's just that it wasn't registering any damage. So then I enter into a metro station. I come back up. All of a sudden, all the enemy's guns work. Mine still don't. And then when I'm getting my shit handed, getting my shit wrecked, I fall through a floor. Out of nowhere. Just fall straight through the ground and die. And I'm like, what? What?
I blame that all on the Gamebryo engine.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I've played games from other developers that use the Gamebryo engine, and they weren't nearly as broken as Bethesda games using the same engine. But again, I don't think they pushed
Bethesda.
Yeah. Well, it's like Civilization 4 was is on the Gamebryo engine, and I'd say it's way more intensive than Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. But that's just because it's Civilization 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because, the guys who made Civ 4 cared a little more about the game, so they probably modified the engine.
Quite a bit, yeah.
I mean, it's like when people use the Unreal Engine or something like that, they modify it to fit their needs, and they'll probably usually end up going through and trying to tweak it so it doesn't run like ass. Kind of like, Bethesda doesn't do.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of I don't know if any of you guys ever go to the site Gamasutra. It's a gaming site more tuned to actual game developments.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, and they often have articles where they talk about development nightmares, really cheap, dirty tricks that developers have used just to get the games they're developing out.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one developer, and of course they're all anonymous. He was talking about how they had to get this game out. It was a dungeon crawling RPG, and they had this one problem where it was on level 10, and it was in a certain room, or it was in a certain object number. I think it was like object number 50, where it would if the user tried to pick it up or do anything with it, it would cause the game to crash. So instead of actually trying to fix the bug, they just made it so that Object 50 was never used. So they put the game out, and eventually they sell the game engine. They license the game engine out to other developers, and then they get a support ticket from another developer talking about how they can't use Object 50 on this level 10, and because of it, it completely crashes their game. So it just and then they actually had to go back and actually try to fix the bug. But it's just interesting, just kind of all the dirty shit they have to pull just to get a game out.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sigmas.
Yes?
You're really quiet.
I know, I'm sorry.
He's not sorry at all.
Well, you're talking about these games I've never played, Fallout and stuff.
Oh, that's right. You're all about the personas and the Disgaias and
not Disgaea. I'm actually not so much of an RPG person as some people, but yeah, I like them.
Okay, BlazBlue.
Yes, that's an RPG.
Might as well be.
With the story mode, yeah. It's got the story mode.
been sitting here in our apartment letting him rape me on Persona 4 Arena every day.
You'll get better.
Maybe. Maybe one day.
So I guess
our apartment's been all about Persona 4 ever since, or well, Persona the series ever since 4 Arena got announced.
Well, it's no wonder your apartment's full of Asian people.
You say that, but actually no.
Oh, really?
No.
There's some Koreans in there too?
Well,
yeah.
It's funny because Sigmus is Korean. No, we're not even. Well, I guess Derek counts as Asian. He isn't really that Asian though.
He's Asian?
All of us, Derek, yeah, we're all half, except for, is Howard full? I think all of us are half Asian.
So you're all mudbloods.
Yeah, all of us are mudbloods.
Yeah, we are.
And none of us, it's funny because the most Asian person in our apartment is actually completely, totally white.
Yeah.
Like, he watches fuckloads of anime, and all he plays are Eastern RPGs.
That's all he plays, pretty much.
Really?
But he's super white.
So he's like my dad. My dad's like the oldest weeaboo I know. Except he's not really weeaboo. He's more like the Korean version of weeaboo. So
I don't know if there's a word for that.
Yeah, well, no. Basically, he's just like he joined the military, went to Vietnam for a couple of years, and then spent like 10 years in Korea and just fell in love with the culture, everything about Korea. And he hasn't been the same since, apparently.
I'm sorry.
You should be sorry, because I got to experience the horrors of kimchi when I was 5.
Oh, God,
my dad would push that on me all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah. The worst thing ever is to have your dad making kimchi in the refrigerator, and then you go in the morning to grab a carton of milk to have your cereal, and the milk smells like kimchi.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it was awful.
We actually have our household is kind of interesting. We have a very wide range of different games that everybody plays. Like, the person I share a room with is primarily like a Skyrim, Fallout, BioShock kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our roommates he pretty much only plays Japanese tactic RPGs and classic JRPGs. And then me and Sigmus just sort of play a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like fighting games, platform games, and puzzle games are pretty fun.
And I'm mostly into Western RPGs and JRPGs. But I also play like rhythm games a little bit.
Rhythm games are good too.
Yeah, Sigmus plays a fuckload of rhythm games.
Yeah, I do. Guitar Man.
Parappa the Rapper.
I just remembered. That's kind of weird, Sigmus, that you're not into Disgaea.
I tried playing it. Tactics, I guess I'm not a really smart person or something. Strategy isn't really for me.
Oh, I thought it was all because all the little girls are actually like 1,400 years old.
Oh, sure. I don't know. I guess the double girl's kind of cute.
Yeah, but she's like 1,500 years old.
Yeah,
so please turn off.
As long as she looks like that.
This coming from the guy who, the moment he could date the high school girl and don't take it personally, immediately was like, yes.
They give me the option. Of course I'm going to do it.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me, 4chan.
Oh, what are they doing now?
Oh, since Dark Souls released, there's been thread after thread on V about it. And I just came across this guy. He's in a part of the game called Sen's Fortress, and there's a boulder trap in it. And it's his first time playing the game, so obviously he's going to be a scrub. And now he's bitching about how he didn't know about the boulder trap and yada, yada, yada. Oh my god, artificial difficulty, herp derp. It's like learn the pattern of the boulder. It's not hard.
I kind of treat the boards of 4chan the same way I treat the atheism subreddit. I don't pay attention to anything they really talk about. Yeah.
I used to be a Mew head. I used to frequent Mew quite a bit, but that board has just turned so agonizingly hipster while maintaining that nobody there is a hipster. That's just like, I don't want to be here anymore.
I used to go D a lot just because D was always fun.
That's always a fun board to be.
Oh god.
Yeah.
you play the Y boner game. Does this arouse me, and why does it?
Yeah. It's sort of the same as clicking on the explicit tag on Derpy Burrow.
Yeah, and every time you can't explain why you're aroused by something, you take a shot.
Yeah.
I would be so drunk if I did that.
It's 5 minutes in, you're on the floor.
Yeah.
Passed out.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, man. I just remembered about this. Apparently, id is going to be releasing some sort of HD version of Doom 3.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's BHM.
They're going to be updating. They're going to be updating the textures. They're also going to be adding. Apparently, they're going to actually add in having the duct tape mod as part of the game's standard.
Nice.
Wow.
They're going to be redoing the lighting system and all that. They're going to be basically updating the game. I think they're going to probably end up trying to use it as like a tech demo for id Tech 5 or whatever. Kind of like reboot the game with the new engine.
The way they did Counter-Strike Source.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually remember when Doom 3 first came out. There's a thread on one of those hardcore PC building forums. I think it was probably Hard OCP, where a guy managed to get Doom 3 running on a Voodoo 2 graphics card. And and the Voodoo 2 came out in like 1998. It's an incredibly old engine. But I just thought it was so funny because he did it, got it to work, and it actually made the game a hell of a lot easier to play because the Voodoo 2 couldn't render the darkness properly, so everything was super bright, so he could see everything. I just thought that was funny. That was a long time ago, actually. That was like Doom 3 came out in 2004, right? Or 2006?
No, it'd be 2004.
Yeah, so... Yeah, Voodoo 2 was pretty outdated by then. So...
Yeah, I'm just interested in seeing... Like, I've seen some stuff about it, and... I wouldn't mind seeing Doom 3 with updated visuals. I mean, when it came out, it was like, holy shit, this thing rapes computers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if like Doom 3 would still have the same impact just because of Dead Space.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, after your first playthrough of Doom 3, it's not, you know what's going to happen, but it's still, to me, it's still a fun game.
Yeah. Well, it's just Dead Space really brought out the horror aspect of like a space horror where, where there's babies that explode and monsters that, and just the way they made, if you fucked up, they made Isaac die in the most horrific ways possible. Not
only that, you actually had to aim where you were shooting because the only way to kill necromorph is to dismember it.
Yeah. I actually really liked the death animations in that game.
Yeah,
one of my favorite ones was actually a kind of a hidden one. If anybody's played it, when you get to about midway point through the game, that other ship crashes into the Ishimura.
Yeah.
Do you know the really fast twitchy guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have like next to no health left and you get killed by one of them, there's a special death animation that happens rarely, but when it does, what it is like he cuts off one of Isaac's arms, while the arm holding the plasma cutter, and then Isaac's like, "Oh shit, my arm's been cut off." Like he's looking at it like all confused and shit, and then the thing does a really fast slice, like you can't even really see that it does it, and all of a sudden Isaac starts like moving forward a little bit, and his upper half just falls off.
Ooh.
And his legs keep walking for a little bit before falling over, and then the camera zooms in on the necromorph's face, and it's like looking right at the camera, and then runs off.
You're talking about Dead Space?
Yeah, Dead Space.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been wanting to play it ever since my introduction to like Dead Space, the entire series, was a video of the guy getting a needle in his eye, and it was a failed attempt, so it killed him.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to play the rest of the game because that was just so awesome.
Dead Space 1 and 2 are really good.
I'm not sure about Dead Space 3, though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Looks
The
like
Dead Space did give us one of the most entertaining video game movies, though.
Yeah, it really did.
Oh, yeah.
Dead Space Downfall. The studio that did that would eventually go on to make one of the worst video game movies of all time, which was Dante's Inferno, the animated movie. But Dead Space Downfall was actually a lot of fun.
It really was.
The only thing of note I remembered from Dante's Inferno period was that Cleopatra lactated demon babies.
Yeah.
Well, you're forgetting the most important part. Mark Hamill as Dante's father.
Oh, yes, Mark Hamill. You know how much you love Mark Hamill.
Well, everyone loves Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But real quick question. Did you guys hear about Fallout 4 possibly being placed in, was it the Boston area?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, because they mentioned the Commonwealth in Fallout 3 whenever you're, shit, I can't remember the name of the city. Was it Rivet City?
Was it? I don't remember.
Because it's the Android quest. And the guy mentions he's from the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
But so far it's just a rumor. Because supposedly an MIT student posted on Reddit saying that Bethesda was in Boston checking out the sites so they could recreate them for Fallout 4.
Well, and that's all really just speculation. All he's really saying is that Bethesda, some people from Bethesda were in Boston. For all we know, who's the game developer? Irrational, I think it is. Aren't they out of Boston?
Not sure.
I'm not sure.
Speaking of Bethesda, did you see that they picked up the rights to publish Stalker 2?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, I saw that.
They don't
also,
have development rights.
Irrational Games is based in Massachusetts.
Yeah, they are actually based in Boston. Who knows? It could be they're doing a possible Fallout 4 in Boston, or they could be buying Irrational Games from Take-Two Games. Who knows? It could. My rumor is just as legitimate as.
Yeah, I just saw that Bethesda got rights to Stalker 2, the publishing rights, and I'm like, okay.
That's really interesting.
So
that
they don't have development rights, which means they can't fuck with the development of the game. Which is good, because the last thing I want to see is Stalker 2 turn into Fallout 3 with Stalker paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you guys see that Prey 2 is no longer on Bethesda's site?
Yeah, that kind of irritates me.
That really irritates me, because when I saw that fucking trailer a couple years ago, I was like, holy fuck, this looks like it's going to be awesome. Now all of a sudden it looks like it's never going to be released.
Oh, okay, that's why Stalker 2 is going to Bethesda's, because Stalker 1 was published by THQ, and THQ has been hemorrhaging money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ever since their failure with the Red Faction game and Saints Row.
Yeah, which really makes me nervous about the Warhammer 40k series. And are they doing Darkstalkers, or is EA doing Darkstalkers?
I don't remember. EA's going down the shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Looking to sell off their company.
Well, I particularly don't mind if EA just died in a fire.
As long as somebody, if they went under or if they sold off, I'd really hope that some of their IPs got sold out to good companies.
Yeah.
Like, I would hate to see the Dead Space franchise, or even though the Battlefield franchise is going downhill, that get picked up by something like Activision. That would just be awful.
That would be nice.
Activision,
I don't know.
I couldn't see Activision.
But if maybe 2K got a hold of Dead Space, that wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
Because 2K has released a few games in the last few years that I've absolutely loved. BioShock being one of them. They published that one.
I wouldn't mind if because SimCity's is a real SimCity sequel's coming out here pretty soon in 2013. I wouldn't mind seeing that go to 2K and possibly put under the care of the Civilization guys.
Yeah. 2K is not I never see much about 2K, I guess, because they're not an evil company. Or at least they're not outwardly evil.
Yeah. Yeah, Activision's just evil. Blizzard's just stupid. EA's evil, and Valve is evil in every way that we like.
I can't hate them. I can't.
Yeah, it's like, okay, they have DRM, but it works. Yeah, they have, you can't take your games off of Steam, but you will always have a copy of them, even if Valve goes under.
Yep.
So Gabe is incredibly obese, but he's still charming.
Oh, Gaben.
Oh, Gaben.
He looks so much older with that beard.
Yeah.
I know he's almost, how old is he? Almost 50, I think?
I think he's older than that. He was one of the people who founded Microsoft.
Gabe Newell, born in 19... Now he's 50, or he's 49.
Oh, wow. I thought he was much older.
Yeah, I know. He looks a lot older than he is.
So what do you think about... Actually, that brings up a nice little topic. What do you think about his Valve taking a huge interest in Linux alongside the comments he made about Windows 8?
It could probably be more Valve support towards Linux and less towards the Windows market.
The comment in question is nobody really likes Windows 8 right now because it's looking a lot like it's just a knockoff of what's going to essentially be their mobile platform. Nobody likes the way it's set up right now, and everyone is pretty in love with 7. And Valve has basically stated that they don't really like Windows 8 very much either. And they've been working towards integrating Linux a lot more. They've been pushing for that.
Yeah.
Plus, they now have Mac integration with iTunes.
Yeah.
Which has brought them in a actually a rather large audience.
Yeah.
Which was a very smart move on their part. Was doing that.
And I wanted to ask because there's been rampant speculation on that. If Steam is to come to Linux, that it could go 3 ways, where it could be, a standalone program that you would just download from your distro's repository and install and use just like Steam on Windows. I think another rumor I heard was that it was going to be integrated into Ubuntu.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, which sounds like the most wildest one, but would actually be the most awesome one and actually would make sense because they made another announcement where they were going to start selling just regular applications on Steam. like word processors and
yeah, I saw,
yeah. And that kind of sparked up the rumor of Steam becoming an actual full-blown Linux distro, a full-blown operating system that you can install. Yeah, and that would actually be really interesting because to be honest, I mean, I like Windows, but really the only reason I use it is because of Steam. I mean, if I wasn't a gamer, I'd probably be using Linux, at least Ubuntu, or I'd own a Mac.
Yeah, I'm actually, things are looking up for Macs for me. I mean, I've always been a PC guy simply because that was what my family had, and that's what I'm used to. But I'm not as much a PC gamer as I am a console gamer, so if, that side of things had to go away, I wouldn't be all that unhappy about it. But I mean, I keep PCs around because there's more to do on them in my field of sound engineering than there is on the Mac, but things are actually looking up for the Mac right now. I mean, there's God knows nothing on Linux for for good audio editing, but things are really looking up for Apple right now. They still got Logic, and Native Instruments produces all of their software for all platforms. So it might end up being that my industry progresses more and more towards using Apple products.
Yeah, and you have Adobe actually pulling their heads out of their asses and realizing, oh yeah, Flash on the web is pretty much dead. And yeah, because that was actually getting really bad, where people were actually saying that they wouldn't be surprised if Adobe just dumped Apple altogether and just stuck with Windows. But apparently that's not going to happen. But you say things are looking up for the Mac. I kind of see it as kind of going the other way, because I've been hearing in my
field, in the field of sound engineering.
Oh, okay. Because I've heard a lot of horror stories regarding the Mac App Store.
Recently, Apple. I think it was Apple. It was found to be they have the highest cash reserves of any company in history.
Oh yeah.
Now.
Oh yeah.
They have so much fucking money right now. They've surpassed Nintendo in this, and Nintendo not too long ago released statements that they had enough money to go bankrupt many times over.
Well, they have tons of cash reserves, but I'm wondering, because it seems like Apple is just that company that just needs a Steve Jobs. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years Apple's in the same place it was in the 90s.
Oh god, failure after failure.
What Apple really needs to function is a vast population of rabid fans who will buy their products, no questions asked, and they have that.
Yeah.
And from here on out, it's not so much a task of finding somebody to replace Steve Jobs. It's more of a task of keeping the user base that they have, despite the fact that they don't have Steve Jobs anymore. And I think that they'll be just fine in doing that. They've made some smart decisions, at least from what I can see, in things that apply to me. For instance, like the iPad, there's that whole thing about the iPad. I don't care about the iPad. The iPad doesn't apply to me because I'll never buy one. But I am definitely part of the market for buying a MacBook because I need mobile. I need mobility in audio editing software, and they have right now what is considered by many audio engineers the best platform for mobile audio editing with the MacBook and Logic Pro. What with soundboards going digital, and now, no soundboard is worth anything if it doesn't have a FireWire out port, which is standard in all Macs. The combination of PreSonus digital soundboard and MacBook is seen everywhere. I think the biggest example is Dragon Force. Dragon Force is one of the only bands that record everything and mix everything themselves, and they do all of it on a MacBook with a PreSonus. PreSonus is a brand. Soundboard. There are a lot of people who like the Apple operating system and platform for that sort of thing, and they've made some very smart decisions in the past, like buying Logic, that have gained them a new subsection of users that they didn't before have. Before their whole marketing thing was accessibility, look, design, coolness factor, and ease of access. But now, with them hoovering up Native Instruments and Ableton just put their software on Mac. The App Store has all kinds of Audacity clones. They're actually gaining a large following in electronic musicians. Owl City does everything, recording even, and electronic, all in GarageBand. So, for them right now, it's a matter of keeping the fan base that they have, and maintaining that steady income of new users. And I don't think that's going to be a problem for them unless they make another iPad and piss people.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've read the technical details about the latest MacBook Pro, but that as a person who being able to just rip open your computer and just replace parts as needed just is second nature, the MacBook Pro kind of scares me. Because, again, they went with design over everything, which means now the RAM is soldered straight onto the motherboard, and the battery is glued to the case.
Yeah, and the laptops don't have proper ventilation, and they heat up like a beast. I know all those technical problems, and those are technical problems, but they pale in comparison to technical problems that a company like, say, HP has in their laptops. It is a problem, and they need to address that. But I have confidence that they'll eventually address that better than companies like, say, HP have in the past. Or Lenovo.
Yeah. Well, Lenovo, not on their cheap shit, but on their high-end laptops are just excellent. Excellent laptops.
Lenovo's been pissing me off lately with some of their Apple-esque decisions. Though their tablets are starting to look really nice, I will admit.
Yeah, I'm actually looking to probably dump my iPad and go with a Nexus 7 tablets. Just mostly because of the fact that all the apps I use on the iPad are available on Android, and it kind of helps because for mobile phone I use Android, and I love it. It's the best. It's the best thing I've ever had in a long ass time, and I just kind of want to have that unity. But I can also see, you were talking about how all Apple needs is just a group of like really hardcore, fanatical user base. But what they're also developing is just a user base which is kind of trapped. Because, I'm just looking at all the apps I've purchased for my iPad, and it's probably about $100 worth of apps that I would be giving up if I went to an Android tablet.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of, you're going to have your fanatics, but you're also going to have the people who are just like, well, I don't really have a choice. I've spent hundreds of dollars in apps that I'm just going to lose if I do anything else. Which, to be honest, is the same problem with somebody who has an Android tablet and wants to go over to Apple. They're kind of trapped too. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess that just really says something about the whole app situation that's going on right now. So
it's a burgeoning medium. I don't think that the whole concept of apps is still relatively new.
Yeah.
somebody needs to come along and set a standard. And right now, the standard is the Apple business model because they started it. In order to break away from that, you're going to have another company come in as a contender to Apple that has a better model. And right now, who's the biggest contender to Apple? And what are they doing? With the new operating system that Windows or that Microsoft is putting through. Nobody is happy with that right now.
Because that's just dumb. That's just so fucking dumb. It's like, okay, we're gonna make Windows 8 work on everything, including ARM, but none of your software that was written for x86 CPUs is gonna work on ARM. So you're gonna have to redevelop all your apps to work on ARM.
The most basic problem right now with Windows 8 is that there is virtually no difference between the mobile operating system that they're going to put in their phones and the operating system that's going to be packaged with computers. There is no difference. And like, say what you want about Apple, that's one thing they got right. Yes, it's still basically the same operating system that's on an iPhone that's on a MacBook, but it's still, the iPhone operating system is a pared down version, and it's optimized for the iPhone, and then their operating system on the laptop and desktop side is basically the same operating system, but it's not the same as the mobile platform. It doesn't have the same look and feel. It doesn't work the same way. But the early betas of Windows 8 for the computer look like what it's going to be on the Windows phone, and that's just stupid. You can do that on a tablet if you want, because a tablet is, for all intents and purposes, needs a simpler operating system than a laptop or a desktop. But you can't do that with your factory defaults for a computer. It doesn't work like that, and that's really what's made so many people angry. That's part of what's made people so angry is really like, the look and feel of what we see of Windows 8 right now just looks like a phone, and that's just the absolutely incorrect way of going about creating an operating system. You can have the same operating system across all devices, but they have to work differently depending on what the device is.
Well, then you got all that shit with with the Windows phones, like they made the whole big deal about that new Nokia that came out. Was that, I think, about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and how it's running Windows Mobile Phone 7, and you will not be able to upgrade it to Windows Mobile Phone 8,
mm-hmm.
Which is, I have a first generation Motorola Droid sitting around here, and if I wanted to, I could install the latest Android operating system to it. I could upgrade it all the way to Jelly Bean. It would run like shit, but I could do it. And it's the same. It's even the same with Apple. If you have a 3GS, you'll be able to run the latest version of iOS. It'll run like shit, but you could do it. And it's just, I don't know. Microsoft is fucking up hardcore.
There they are.
Which they want to do. They want to do. I don't know. Microsoft seems to work better with odd numbers than even numbers. Seems like. Jay Hoof, Sigmas?
I'm still here.
Yeah, no comment.
You guys sound so fascinated.
We're so fascinated. We just listen to it all.
It's like listening to a professional lecture. I feel I should be paying for this.
This is what happens. You get an asshole like me who does nothing all day but drive a truck and listen to technology podcasts. I just regurgitate the shit that people who are probably dumber than me get paid a lot of money to talk about. Yeah. It's. Let's talk about video games again.
Sure.
Actually, I was wondering, are any of you guys interested in that one game? I think it's already out. I saw it on Destructoid. It's on XBLA. It's not on the PCs. I don't know if it's coming to PCs or PS3, but I think it was like Dusk something Tale. Dust, the furry game.
Actually,
I haven't heard anything about that, actually. I have no idea. I don't pay attention to XBLA, so... We have Xboxes in this apartment. One of them is hacked, and the other one is, like, unplugged and in a box.
Yeah, it's called Dust and Elysian Tale.
I haven't actually seen much about it. I mean, the only thing I've seen about it was going back, that Northern Lion guy, he does Let's Look At some games. He's a partner with YouTube, and one of the things he does a lot is he gets games like that. Like, he gets copies of the games from developers and stuff to review. And the reason he gets it is because he's brutally honest with what he thinks about the game and, you know, what the flaws are in the game, like legitimate stuff and all that. So he's not getting paid off to give it good reviews.
Yeah.
But I was watching the video he had, and what I was noting, the combat in it looks really smooth. Like,
yeah. Well, Destructoid did a review of it, and I don't know if it's the same thing that's happening on other review sites regarding the game, but they reviewed the game. Jim Sterling specifically reviewed the game, and I don't know if you guys know anything about Jim Sterling. He's a rather abrasive and hilarious character. He gives honest reviews regarding games and everything, like he should, and he gave Dust and Elysian Tale a decent review. I think it was like an 8 out of 10 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm really liking how the game looks.
Yeah, it's got like really, it's really, really nice style. It's sort of similar to those older games that came out for the PlayStation 2. I think they were I can't remember. They're really.
I know
really
what you're talking about. I think I might know what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
It's really similar, but the thing was that he gave a really decent review. He didn't mention anything about the fact that there are anthros in the game,
mm-hmm.
but in the comment section for the review of the game, people were writing the game off as being a game for furry pervert faggots.
Oh.
And they were accusing, and Jim Sterling's not furry, but they were accusing Jim Sterling of being a furry, and that's why he gave it such a high score, and just all this shit.
Yeah, that's like liking Sly Cooper and being called a furry or something like that. I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
What's the game? It's Dust 514 is what you're talking about?
No, it's Dust and Elysian Tale. Just type in Dust XBLA to
that's why I did
Google.
Google.
Yeah, Dust 514
I found it. Okay.
Different.
Yeah, Dust 514 is like a.
Yeah, Dust 514 is a shooter, and that's on PSN.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful game, and it plays really smoothly, and Jim Sterling, who's a very critical critic, gave it a fairly decent review, and it's just sad that because it has anthropomorphic characters in it, it's getting shot down.
The same problem happened with that DS game that went around. Solar Robo. That's the one. Yeah, it was a spiritual sequel to Tail Concerto, if you ever played that one for PS1. Solar Robo was a really fun game from what I played. I actually managed to get through it on PC because I had a DS emulator. It was a lot of fun, and it had a relatively JRPG-ish story that was pretty good, but all the characters were anthros. The main character was a wolf. There was a character who was a cat that looked like a girl but was a trap, and so people just sort of wrote it off as a generic furry game that no one was ever going to play, which is a shame because it was actually really good. It didn't get the attention that I think it deserved, because people wrote it off in the same way I suppose what you're saying it does. I'm actually looking at the the Destructoid comments right now.
Yeah, I love the one comment: "Suffer not the furry to live." But he actually later on they do a podcast, and the topic of Dust came up, and he actually went on huge rants regarding, because he's not furry, and honestly, if you were to hear him before he went on this rant, he would say that he would most likely be anti-furry, but he went on this huge rant regarding the whole fur fag situation. And I really loved how he compared people who hate on furries to... He basically said that he feels that people who hate on furries are actually racists who are too scared to hate on minorities or other religion, or minorities or women, and thus hate on furries because it's acceptable. And this is coming from a dude who is in no way part of that fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Sigma's the game I was referring to, Odin Sphere.
Oh yeah, I'm watching a gameplay video. It actually does look a lot like Odin Sphere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Minus the hand-drawn characters.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what I was thinking. I've seen someone play it. Was it Howard, maybe? Or someone around here.
Yeah, our roommate played Odin Sphere obsessively for like 3 months.
Yeah, I played it back in like 2009 obsessively. It's just a beautiful fucking game.
So here's one for you. This one I've been thinking of a while. An old game that you would think you'd love to see remade.
Say again?
An old game, like anything from your childhood or a game that you loved, that you would love to see remade, like even if it's just updated graphics or something like that.
I can already answer this for you. Super Mario RPG Legends of 7 Stars.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I don't mind.
I want to see Gino in 3D.
That would be so wonderful. Oh, he's saying playing as Gino in 3D.
Oh, yeah.
His sprite looked really weird. Like, I thought that thing on his hair looked like his nose or something when he turned a certain way. I'd like to see it in actual 3D so I know what he actually looks like.
I could just cop out and say Final Fantasy VII, but I won't, because I honestly don't care if that game gets remade. A game I've always wanted to see remade, or at least recoded so that it could run on anything past Windows 98 without using all sorts of ridiculous illegal hacks, is Grim Fandango.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would absolutely love to see an enhanced remake of Grim Fandango. It's just all the everything about that game is hilarious, and I mean, yeah, everyone knows I have a big heart on for Tim Schafer and Double Fine, and classic LucasArts games, but Grim Fandango really takes it for me because of how incredibly silly the game was in dealing with death, which is, like, that's something we kind of take for granted in video games. Like, years ago, death was a big thing. People were shocked when Aerith was killed on screen, and stuff like that. But nowadays, we pretty much take death for granted in a video game. It's just sort of a byproduct of playing a game. But Grim Fandango took that and turned it on its head, by dealing with death in such a silly, offish manner. that even things that are dead can die by having flowers planted inside them. It's just the whole way it dealt with death and things after life was so interesting. That combined with the fact that you were playing a slimy Grim Reaper who was really only, doing his job and being nice because he wanted to go to heaven. I would absolutely love to see that game remade.
There's a couple games on the N64 I would like to see remade. Has anyone heard of Perfect Dark?
Yeah.
It was made by Rare, the same people who did GoldenEye. Perfect Dark.
Didn't they put Perfect Dark on the Xbox?
Did they?
When they were bought.
It was just a port though.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It'd be nice to see like an HD update.
I'm looking at. Yeah, they never really did a remake. There was a sequel that was planned for GameCube.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
But then Rare got bought up.
Here we
by
go.
Microsoft.
Yeah, and then they got bought by Microsoft.
Yeah.
There is a sequel for Xbox 360 called Perfect Dark Zero.
Oh, that is kind of interesting. Also, the other one is. Were you saying something else?
Oh no, I'm just looking through.
Okay.
Perfect Dark Zero wasn't received very well.
Yeah.
There was a pretty interesting third-person shooter on N64 called Jet Force Gemini, and my friend rented that, and we played multiplayer on it. It was really fun. I'd like to see an update on that.
I have a game. It's actually it's a Nintendo game. It was a top-down. It was a side-scrolling and top-down shooter called Abadox. And
yeah, I remember that.
It was created by the studio that eventually made the Harvest Moon series. And basically, what it was, there was no real story to it, but apparently, you had to go rescue the princess whose spaceship was eaten by a giant planet that was actually a living organism. And you actually had to fight your way into the planet, and you started out on its skin, and you had to fight all the parasites on skin, and then you go into its mouth and you battle a giant tongue, and then you go and you battle its demonic tonsils, and then you go into its throats and fight parasites there, and then you go into its stomach, and you go deeper and deeper into this planet to rescue the princess. And it's an incredibly difficult game to play, but I just love to see it get remade just because I love the concept of just your entire environment is a living thing, and I'd love to see an HD remake of it, just with just so much gore and just monsters. And even in as a Nintendo game, it had a lot of detail to it. Like when you were in the first level on the skin, you would fly past like other spaceships that crashed into the planet. And you go inside and you see just wreckage of other ships that this monster is eaten, just lying around inside of it. And also it had one of the most, because I played it as a little kid, and it had one of the most, at the time, the most scariest bosses ever, and it was actually a giant tapeworm. And the reason it was so scary was because you didn't fight the head or the body of the tapeworm, you fought the tail, which meant you had to slowly fly past its body, and all you heard was a heartbeat. Just, a thumping heartbeat as you're just passing this just gigantic tapeworm that's just full of eyeballs that are like staring at you, and just teeth jabbing out trying to kill you. And yeah, that'd be, I'd have a lot of fun playing that.
I think another game I'd like to see remade is Sim Ant. Have you guys ever played that?
Yeah, I played it.
Yes, I played it once.
Sim Ant was it was done by the guys that did obviously the SimCity games. It's done by Maxis. Out of all of the Sim games, though, Sim Theme Park included, which actually wasn't done by Maxis, done by Bullfrog. Sim Ant is my favorite out of all of them because it's a deliciously simple game where a run through can take anywhere between a day and weeks, and it could play out in any different manner. You obviously had the objective of taking over the entire house and becoming the ruling factor. You also had the objective of destroying the evil red ants. And it's sad. I mean, I have Sim Ant right here, and you have to play it in DOSBox, but it just isn't quite the same anymore because the frame rate is pathetic. It's very hard to play in DOSBox because it runs so slowly. But that was my childhood. That and MechWarrior were my childhood, and I'd really like to see another sim type game where you play as bugs. I think it's really entertaining.
Oh, I just remember going to Abadox really quick. Abadox actually not the tapeworm, but another boss that was deeper. I think it was actually part of the monster's heart. Was this boss which looked eerily similar to a pregnant woman fused to the wall, and her attack was she would shoot bullets out of her eyeballs and her mouth, but she would give birth to these pregnant fish that would home in on you and explode in a swarm of worms that would just go and kill you. So you had not only did you have to dodge all these bullets, but you had to dodge these fish that would explode and try to kill you. It was just, I just remember it just being a little kid, just one of the most fucked up scenes I ever saw in a Nintendo. I was actually surprised it was a Nintendo game.
No, all the design for the enemies in Abadox were horrifying.
Yeah.
I know the one game that if I could have remade, it's an old. It came out on PS1 and N64. Fuck, how long ago was it? I don't even remember. But it was made by. Oh shit! What's the company? They've since gone bankrupt. They went bankrupt a long time ago. But it's a game called Nightmare Creatures.
Ah, yes.
That game I remember specifically for being one of the most over-the-top, gory, violent games I played on the PS1, but simultaneously also one of the freakiest fucking games I've ever played.
That
What's
game
it called
was
again?
terrifying.
Nightmare Creatures. What made this game so fantastic? And if it got a graphical update and all that stuff, the one thing I would want them to keep is the black fog in the game, because the way the game is played is like you progress through, I think it's like 32 different levels. I don't remember exactly how, but it's like you're in London and you progress through different levels of the game. And because of the game's age, they had to implement, some sort of rendering distance. And so the way they did this was, it's kind of like almost Silent Hill-ish, was they made a black fog.
Yeah.
So like everything was black around you. The only thing you saw was what was in the rendering distance of your character. And even then at a distance, there was like a fog itself that kind of laid over most of the levels. So you would hear enemies in the distance, like you would hear them growling or things like that, but you wouldn't be able to see them until you got into range, which is like, oh shit, oh fuck, what am I going to fight now? Oh Jesus. And the black fog, like even though it was a tool for keeping the rendering down, it just added an element to the game that was just so fucking creepy.
I need to get this game again.
I would kill, and what was fun about it too was like you had a bunch of different power ups. There was a cheat in the game that let you play as the monsters themselves. And there was one item I remember specifically you could pick up, which was basically a saw blade. And when you activated it, it made all of your attacks do ridiculous amounts of damage, and you could dismember enemies down to their torsos.
Wow.
Now, when I'm thinking back in this game, if this game got a graphical update with maybe like a physics engine implemented, it would probably be one of the most violent games you could imagine.
The second one. Did you ever play the second one?
I did play it. Yeah, I didn't like it as much.
The second one, the main character Adam Crowley was just the design for his character was just so creepy and terrifying.
Yeah. And it also had an awesome soundtrack. Like, it had a lot of gothic metal in it. Huh. I mean, the game takes place in like 1880s London, but all the boss themes, like all the level themes are very ambient kind of music. But when you get to the boss themes, it's like this heavy gothic metal music, and it fits so well.
I'd completely forgotten about this game.
And I feel awful now for completely forgetting that it existed.
I absolutely loved it. It's a terrifying game, too. I mean, it actually... I played through it again recently, not too long ago, and there were still some things that scared the fuck out of me. I mean, the creature designs in it are horrifying. They're really well done, and I would love to see them redone in, today's, current rendering engines. It would just be amazing. Then the game was unforgiving as hell. It really was unforgiving.
One game I would love to see get remade, just simply because I'd really like for this style of tycoon game to come back. Because I know for a while, like in the early 2000s and late 90s, there was that dearth of tycoon games like Lemonade Stand Tycoon and just Hotel Tycoon, just all those shitty management games that
Lemonade Stand? Never heard of that one.
Yeah, Lemonade Stand Tycoon. I've played that.
Yeah, but really, I guess it was the first Tycoon game. It was also the best. There was Aerobiz and then its sequel, Aerobiz Supersonic, and they were airline management simulations that were on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. And that's all it was that you ran an airline. You bought aircraft, you opened up routes, and it did it so well. That's all it did. And the developer actually took the time to go to actual aircraft manufacturers and get licenses so you could fly around and you could get like real aircraft. And I would just love to see that remade where somebody actually took the time to like license aircraft from Boeing and Airbus and the Russian companies and just re-release it as a modern game and maybe with like an online element so you could play with your friends online. Just sort of just to put out like a good tycoon game.
Yeah.
Because
I miss Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I played all the sim games wrong. Like on Roller Coaster Tycoon, I'd kill everyone. On SimCity, I'd build up like for 2 or 3 hours, and then I'd send in all the horrible things.
I remember my friend had SimCity 2000 on his computer way back, and I remember you could pick from like pre-built cities, and one of them was Hawaii. And I just kept doing floods until nothing was left of Hawaii but the very tip top of a skyscraper sticking out of the water.
Actually, that reminds me, is probably one last topic we could probably talk about, and then I'm pretty sure Chef Sandy and Apple Cider get a hold of us, want to do their little thing. But I wanted to talk about pushing games way beyond what they were designed or to do or what the developers thought was possible with them. And there's three examples I wanted to pull up. The first one is called the Eternal War.
Yes.
Which is a I'll go ahead and link it to you guys. The Eternal War is a game of Civilization 2 that a guy has been playing off and on for 10 years. And basically what happened was what happens when you spend a decade of your life playing one single game of Civilization 2? Nothing good, as it turns out, at least not for the virtual citizens of your world. A Reddit user by the name of Lyserius posted his 10-year tale of woe earlier today, describing how this world in the year 3991 AD is a hellish nightmare of suffering and devastation. And basically, all that's left is there's 3 superpowers left in the world. They've gone to war. They've been in a constant state of warfare for 1,700 years. They've launched so many nukes that the ice caps have melted 20 times.
Ouch.
Jesus.
All that's left is just basically mountains and swamps. There's no way they can't. All they can do with their engineers is just build railroad lines to transport troops to the front, and to they can't actually build farms or anything. It's basically he's pushed the game of Civilization 2 beyond what it was supposed to do, and they've actually went and interviewed Sid Meier about it, and he said that when we made this game, we never expected this to happen. And then there's
you can actually download his save files and try and play his game to see if you can fix it. They've been trying.
Well, and they've succeeded. The first person managed to end the war, and the only way they've managed to end the war was to conquer the other two civilizations. And the first person who managed to conquer it did it, I think, in like 58 years. And now the competition is to see how fast you can do it. I think they've got it down to 32 years.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just really really interesting. And then another one was in SimCity 3, and the title of the article is "The Totalitarian Buddhist who Beat SimCity."
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And this guy's insane. This guy
beat SimCity.
Yeah, he's spent 4 years, and he's actually carefully mapped out and detailed his plans for these cities, where he's actually technically beat SimCity 3. These cities range from like 30,000 to 50,000 years old, and again, they're like sort of hellholes. Where they are perfect cities, but nobody lives past the age of 50. There's no parks. There's no kind of entertainment. The virtual citizens who live in the city are basically it's like a 1984 scenario. And actually, if you watch the video he posted up on YouTube, it's really, really creepy.
Yeah,
it's pretty goddamn scary.
Final City.
Yeah. And then the third one was actually in Minecraft, and I'm trying to pull it up right now.
I really need to get Minecraft sometime, but I'm so afraid that that's all I'm going to do for days.
Yeah, where okay, I just pulled up the article. This I think it was a university student got 30 volunteers into a small map of Minecraft to see how they would interact with each other. How they would interact with each other with limited resources, and
I saw that.
Yeah, and how they basically destroyed the world in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
How it was only 30 people, and while the map was small, it was still pretty massive. But how they initially tried to work together, but then they broke off into these 4 factions and just went to war with each other over limited resources. I think they were talking about how at first, I think the first resource that sort of went away was diamonds, and then trees, and then iron, and then the dirt itself started running out of dirt. And after 2 months, the guy had to. The experiment apparently was a total failure, and the guy just ended the game. And he puts up a bunch of pictures, and it's just this nightmare, this nightmare world.
Well, that's actually sort of been a theme lately in games when developers give
players the more power to fuck around, things like this tend to happen. I posted a video a long while back on Tumblr of a game called 98 Koshien. And 98 Koshien is an old Japanese baseball game. And one of the key features of 98 Koshien is the ability to edit the animation that your pitcher would go through when they threw the ball.
I remember that.
And Japan being the crazy place that it is, and gamers being the crazy sort that they are, took this and just ran with it. They made ridiculously intricate animations, ridiculously silly animations, dances. They get their player models to masturbate and then throw the ball. And it was, as far as I know, this feature was only found in 98 Koshien. In any other of the later Koshien videos, or Koshien games, it wasn't a feature. Just in this one. And there are examples of this everywhere, like Gary's mod is a great example of this. The crazy models that people have been importing into Source Filmmaker. The trolling penis monsters that people made in Spore.
Yeah.
And one of the best comments I've ever heard on anything, this was actually on the 98 Koshien video. And the comment, it was a top comment on YouTube for the longest time on that video, and it was reasons to never give players this kind of power. This video. Reasons to always give players this kind of power. This video. And I totally agree with that. I think giving your players freedom to fuck around in your game is one of the most horrifying and awesome things you can do. And we've seen horror come from all kinds of places. Like, for instance, that event a long while back in World of Warcraft, the Corrupted Blood Plague.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was a dungeon that they had just added that the monster, the boss, when you killed it, would randomly infect one player with this disease called Corrupted Blood. And it would very slowly but surely kill them unless they were, fairly low level. They would just kill them. And the reason why it was such a big deal was because it encouraged players to think about their spacing with each other when they attack the boss, because corrupted blood would infect players that got too close to whoever got infected. And it was added as just a measure to make that boss more interesting and difficult. But what ended up happening was there was a bug where corrupted blood would actually infect your pet along with you. And if you quit the dungeon at a specific time after you beat the boss, you would no longer have corrupted blood because they didn't want to bring that out into the world. But they neglected to program it to also cure the pet. So there were players who would exit that dungeon with their pet infected with corrupted blood, which would then infect them and then infect nearby players. And there are screenshots of some of the major city hubs in World of Warcraft just filled with dead, decaying bodies. Because somebody would get infected, go back to their town, and then just everybody would be infected and die. And it's actually a really, really chilling set of screenshots, because it's like, if you've played World of Warcraft or watched someone play, those city hubs are always full of people, so full of people that sometimes you crash the game because your frame rate drops to nil. And here it is, just that city just completely devoid of life and movement, and it's just dead bodies everywhere. And stuff like this has been a recurring theme now that games are becoming more mainstream, and developers giving their players more power to make user-generated content. And say what you want about user-generated content. User-generated content is one of the driving forces of hype in online games. I mean, look at Source Filmmaker is a prime example, and Gary's mod are prime examples of what user-generated content can do to raise hype for upcoming games, raise hype for existing games, and just provide a place for the fan base to create fan works.
Well, I just remember that Corrupted Blood. The CDC actually got in contact with Blizzard and just to research it, because they started looking at the possibility of using MMOs to simulate real world plague scenarios, just to see how it would spread and how people would react. I heard one of the scary things I heard. Well, it was mostly just griefing, but really, when you think about it, if you try to put it into a real context, how horrifying it was high level players would get the corrupted blood, and they would survive long enough to, when new players came in, they would run by the new players and just immediately kill them with corrupted blood.
Mm-hmm.
So
biological warfare at its
yeah. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, especially that, and also Civ 2 and SimCity 3 games were just all done by one person, but like that Minecraft game and World of Warcraft were many people interacting with each other, and just how quickly it just devolved into just pure chaos. So
wasn't Eve, that Eve Online game, technically one of those situations? Because even the developers have admitted that the things people are doing on Eve are nothing like they would have imagined what would have been. Especially, what was it, a couple months ago, I saw that there was this massive attack that was planned on one of these huge companies that's in the game.
Yeah.
And the developers are like, yeah, they're going to do it, and we're going to let them, because that's part of the game. We didn't expect it to come to this, but we're going to sit back and watch this go down.
Well, I just heard it was actually a long time ago. I was playing Eve, and I was so into Eve that I was following like Eve podcasts, and because it's all one server. There aren't you play on one giant server, so everybody's in on the same game. And I remember it was a race. I think it was between Band of Bros and then something awful's Eve Corporation. I think they were just called the Goon Swarm or something. And they were in a race to build the first Titans in the game. And the Titans were these massive, larger-than-planet ships that could actually attack across solar systems. Because when you jump from solar system to solar system, you jump through jump gates and you load the new solar system. And with these Titans, they would be able to fire upon another solar system and just attack that way, which meant any corporation that had a Titan would rule the game. So I think it was Band of Bros built the first Titan, and then surprisingly shortly afterwards, the Goon Swarm destroyed it.
Yeah,
and then built their own Titan, and it was just and back then it was just like this huge news. I think it was actually like PC Gamer and all these websites reported. It's like, oh my god, the first Titan was built. Holy shit, the first Titan was just destroyed. And it's just all. And that's the thing about Eve. It's like, it's sort of like, now I kind of view Eve as sort of like that one website, English Russia, where English Russia just reports, just talks about all this crazy shit that goes on in Russia. And you look at it and you're like, wow, look at all this crazy shit that happens in Russia. That sounds like an amazing place. I never want to go there. And that's sort of how I view Eve now. It's sort of like, Eve is this amazing game. Look at all this cool shit that's happening. I'm never going to play it, but holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
This is awesome.
I mean, I don't even play the game. I just follow some of the stuff that happens, and I saw, like, the developers are saying that there was this massive attack being planned in one of the largest companies in the game. They, like, dominate the market in the game or whatever. And
yeah.
the devs were just like, yeah, we're just going to watch this happen. We're going to watch this go down because it's part of the game. I mean, they didn't even conceive of companies getting that huge, I think. And
Well, I'm pretty sure now Titans are a fairly common occurrence, but yeah, it's still.
Yeah, there's like they actually have like there's actually like some sort of alliance going on in the game against this one company. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I remember another story came out where this one user built a bank within Eve and offered his banking services, and where you deposit ISK, and ISK is the in-game currency, and you get interest on your deposits and all that. It's just like a real bank.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he got to where he had trillions and trillions of ISK as assets, and then he just shut the bank down and took off. And people were enraged. People were going to the developers saying, "You gotta stop this dude. This dude just screwed us over. Just took all of our money, this and that." And they're like, "No, we're not gonna do anything. This is what happens in the game. We intentionally keep our hands off of it."
Yeah.
And eventually, and they were talking about how a lot of the players were in contact with, I think, Interpol or their local police, because he had several trillion ISK, and they said at the current conversion rate, if he were to sell that ISK for real money, he would get about $70,000.
Jesus.
And so they were keeping an eye on it because it would be taxable income. And then that's how they wanted to try to catch him and just try to get him in trouble. And nothing ever came of it. I think the guy was just a troll. But still, it was pretty amazing how much freedom there is in Eve.
I can't remember if it was Eve or some other game where some group had like this frigate that they had loaded with some in-game currency. And they had bought this currency with real money, and it was valued at something like $10,000.
Oh, Jesus!
And their frigate got attacked, and it blew up, and it took the money with it. They lost $10,000 worth of this stuff because their frigate was attacked, and they didn't properly defend it.
See, I'm wondering if it, in a situation like that isn't some sort of a money laundering scheme, a real life money laundering scheme. I mean, that's a great way to get rid of to clean up a lot of cash. It's just to buy a lot of gold in an MMO. But yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah, and I just remember there's all kinds of little stories too, where like it wasn't me that was playing; it was a friend of mine that was playing, and he was traveling through space.
And the fact,
oh yeah,
just before you go into the story, I'm gonna drop out of the call and call up AC and Chef to just do a quick pre-podcast thing with them. Go ahead and continue this episode, and then hit me up when you guys are done. Okay.
Okay, I think we're going to be done pretty soon. But yeah, it's just really quick. It was just a little story, and he had just started playing the game, and he finally got out of all the training and everything, got into real space. Because that's what you have. You have the in Eve, you have the space that's sort of protected by the in-game empires, and then you have real space where it's basically just all player controlled, and it is pretty controlled by the corporations, pretty anarchical. And he finally got into 0-0 space, and there's a freighter with an escort that was being attacked by another corporation, and he went to the help of the freighter to help him fend off the other corporation, and he helped them, and they fended them off, and they actually invited him into the corporation. He actually became pretty good friends with those guys. It's just one of those really cool, like, MMO stories that you don't hear very often anymore. So, well, shit. I'm about done. I have nothing else to talk about now.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised we went this long.
Huh?
We're at like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Wow, that's pretty fun.
Oh, this is all going up on the Electric Brony. I don't edit for shit. I don't do any editing at all.
At least you're honest.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Any of you guys got any more stories or things to talk about?
I'm going to say one thing right now, since we were talking about Dark Souls earlier. One last thing. For people on the fence about the port, basically, yes, it does have a locked internal resolution. There's already a mod out there that fixes that and does some other things to the game, so you don't have to worry about that. The frame rate issue people have bitched about, I've had no frame rate issues whatsoever. It's solid, it's smooth, it runs well. Like, if you have a decent enough machine, it runs really well. And, yeah, it does have games for Windows Live, but I know a lot of people hate that shit. But, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, honestly. It's not like you need to pay for the goddamn service. If you already have an Xbox Live account, that's all the better, because then you can just link it to that. And
well, if you have Fallout 3, then you already got games for Windows.
Exactly, yeah. And, really, I mean, it's worth it. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I fucking love the game, and I would, But the thing is, it's $40. You get the game, plus you get the entire DLC, which, from what I'm seeing, is a shit ton of new content that they added. Plus, they've rebalanced some things in the game. For anybody who's played the console version, they've rebalanced some certain items in the game that used to cause trouble in PvP and all that. It's a little slow right now in terms of the PvP, the summoning scene, because people are, new to the game, getting things done, trying to get through the game, and I've ran into a lot of people who don't seem to understand the concept of summoning and PvP and how to build their characters and stuff, which is to be expected. So, I mean, just be patient with that. I'm sure that'll pick up, but it's really worth it to get it.
Yeah, and also I want to mention that if you are thinking about getting this game, purchase it through Steam legally, because this game is a result of petitions from players to get this on the PC. So it sends a clear message to Namco Bandai and other developers that the PC the PC platform in Steam is a worthwhile platform to develop for. There is a precedent to purchasing this game on Steam.
Mm-hmm. It'll probably, hell, it might even net us the next Souls game on PC.
Yeah, because Namco Bandai had no intention to ever release this for the PC, and it was strictly through petitions and letter writing or email writing campaigns that made Namco Bandai change their mind, and they did it, and so pay them back by purchasing the fucking game.
Yeah, I'm just
saying. That's all I can say.
It's worth it. I mean, again, just maybe watch like a playthrough of like maybe the first area or two of the game to see if it's the right game for you. Yes, it is frustrating on your first playthrough because you don't know what you're doing. Yes, you will die a lot. That's part of the game, though. It's not a game where I've played through the game 3 times now, and while that's not a lot compared to some people I know, I still die a fuck ton.
Oh yeah, it's a brutal, no holds barred game.
I get cocky in certain areas of the game, and I get my shit wrecked.
Why do you think it's called the Prepare to Die edition?
Exactly.
Dark Souls is a sequel, right?
It's technically
a spiritual sequel.
Oh, yeah, so you don't have to play the first one?
Yeah, Demon Souls. The only thing in Demon Souls and Dark Souls that are similar are some character, like 1 or 2 characters, I think, and a few items. Other than that, there's no real connection between the 2 games.
Okay, so it's kind of like Chrono Cross. Like very little has to do with it.
There's references to Demon Souls, from what I understand, and I've seen a few watching some Demon Souls videos, but there's no, like, this is what happened in Demon Souls, and now this is what's happening in Dark Souls.
Which one's better? Dark Souls?
From what I've seen, Dark Souls is considered better just because the gameplay was updated a lot. A lot of the gameplay stuff was updated, and they actually added a bit more of a challenge to the game with limited healing items and things like that as compared to Demon Souls.
Yeah, because Demon Souls, there's a hub type world you'd go through. In this, it's all one giant map.
Yeah, in Dark Souls, it's all one. Every area in the game is connected in one way or another.
Yeah. Okay, I think with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and end the recording here. So, all right. I think this is the first Electric Brony I've put up in like a month. So, and it's almost 3 hours long. So I hope you fucking listeners appreciate this. All right, and we out.